the Islamic worldview is broken up into 4 categories based on your rights, your human rights. Muslim men. Beneath that are Muslim women. Beneath that are non-Muslim men, and beneath
subjugated, jizya paying tax.
Yeah. Anybody who is outside of the Muslim faith is, and unfortunately, there's
you're either in the house of Islam or the house of Dar, right? You're either an infidel or a Muslim.
Yeah,
that's it.
And that's the worldview.
Yep.
And if your worldview is that it's your purpose to
rule from every mountaintop, as they say.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny how they all misinterpret Islam the same way? Isn't that funny? They all do. Every terrorist basically gives you the exact scripture and correctly says why.
Yeah.
But then the apologists say, no, they're misinterpreting it. Wait a minute, 99 out of 100 people interpret it the same way, but you're trying to tell me that they're wrong? No, they're fucking right. That's what the book says. You're wrong.
What a lot of people don't know, and this is pretty interesting about how Islam, came to be. Initially, Mohammad could only convert his immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
Then he started gathering on his way to, I guess, Medina.
Yes.
Started gathering, basically pirates. They would do raids, and he would pay them out from the spoils.
Mm-hmm.
Once he got to Medina, he said, "Okay, well, if I can convert the Jews, then that'll be great." So, at that point, he started taking elements from the Torah. They don't eat pork, we're not going to eat pork. They pray a few times a day, we're not going to pray a few times a day. And he started wrapping it in the trappings of religion.
Of course.
And of course the Jews said, no thanks, because he was presenting himself as, well, I'm the prophet you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you're not. So he took it by force.
And that's when abrogation.
And that's when it became
violent. Abrogation.
Militant.
Well, that's exactly it. Abrogation. The later stuff supersedes the earlier in the Quran. Therefore, when he says be nice to the neighbor and all this, it's superseded by strike them in ye neck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from that point on, that was when the caliphate was established.
Correct.
The caliphate spread, and it took many iterations, and
the Christian crusades to knock it back.
And so the caliphate started in I guess it was a little after 632, because it was the peace-loving.
That's Charles Martel, 632, right? 632 was Martel in France. No, 732. I'm sorry, 732.
So the caliphate kept expanding and expanding. It ended up covering more area than the Roman Empire, and the last iteration of it was the Ottoman Empire.
Constantinople, Istanbul.
Well, the Ottoman Empire in 1929, when Turkey elected their first became a secular republic, and their president abolished the caliphate. So it's only been gone for
90 years.
90 years. Yeah. So when ISIS talks about we're reestablishing the caliphate,
it's not that long.
That's what they're talking about.
Absolutely.
The caliphate that existed for how many years? 16 to 19, 1400, 1300 years. Yeah. So I guess
it's still right here in their brain.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
So they had a minor setback, and now they're going to proceed.
When my brother got to Afghanistan after he'd been in Iraq, he's like, these people are different here. He's like, they will flat out tell you, you're going to leave. It might take 50 years. Doesn't matter. We'll be here. We're going to have kids. We're going to wait.
Yeah.
We're patient. We don't care.
Yeah. It's a long-term game plan.
Short and long.
And they've been doing it for
thousands of years. They're really fucking good at it.
Well, and unfortunately, the big problem in Europe, which, I don't think Europe can come back.
No, they're done. They're done.
Yeah.
It's sad, but they're gone.
Germany
France
is going to be a Islamic country.
So will France.
France is going to be an Islamic country.
Britain will be too.
And what's
it going to lead to though if you follow it through? It's going to be something like World War II times 10. when it eventually happens, because Slovakia, Slovenia, Poland, they're not going to take that shit.
Yeah, they're not going to go along.
No, they're going to be like, it's time to declare war. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to have a whole new dichotomy formed, and something vicious is going to happen, but that's what happens.
So here's what's behind, here's the strategy of the Muslim Brotherhood. There's a terror attack. They immediately mobilize their media connections.
Instantly.
And take control of the narrative.
Yep, immediately. With the help of the left. Of course.
Well, yes. And so the narrative is, no, it says nothing to do with Islam. The real victims here are
the
Muslims.
Yeah, of course.
Suffering from Islamophobia because you're a racist country.
Yep.
And then so we need to pass a couple of more, special protection laws.
Restrict some of your liberties.
Well, here's the thing, though, and I get a lot of people saying, you're insane. Nobody's going to impose Sharia law in the United States. Well, it's not imposing Sharia law. It's bending our laws to be Sharia compliant.
Correct.
And this is what we've seen in Toronto.
Yep.
This is what we've seen in Dearborn.
Yeah.
Right now, it's there was a gentleman going to speak at a symposium an American guy who, this was just a few weeks ago. I don't know his name, but he was. You can look it up. He was detained and arrested at the airport entering into Toronto, because he had his speech. He was, at an event talking about the threat of radical Islam. He was arrested for transporting hate speech.
But you're allowed to carry a Quran?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So now it's I don't know if do you know Katie Hopkins?
No.
She's a journalist. She's fantastic. She's a journalist for the UK, Daily Mail.
Daily Mirror or Daily Mail? Okay.
And right after one of the attacks that they had, maybe the bridge attack, maybe Manchester, she wrote this impassioned article saying, we can't just sit by and watch this happen. Britons need to stand up. Mm-hmm. We need to demand that this be taken under control. Yep. So she was immediately put under surveillance for inciting violence against Muslims.
But yet Ahmed Chowdhury can stand out there and say, death to infidels, death to Britain, death to America.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah. Oh, it's protected.
Yeah. I mean, the worst thing that we have going for us is our religious liberties. This is our vulnerability right now.
Well, that's what they always do. They use your gray area against you.
Yeah.
I used to go to Amsterdam to judge the Cannabis Cup in the late 90s all the time.
Sure.
And I could see it happening then.
Yeah.
Like, they use the liberal nature of your society against you. The more freedom that you have, the more they'll fucking get in there and use it against you. And it's like a virus. They are literally a virus. They eat and feed off of the host nation until it's dead.
Yeah.
That's it. They're a virus.
Well, and unfortunately, we have the hard left in this country, which are still so steeped in their hatred of American culture that they are willing to team up with anyone who is the enemy of the United States.
Yep.
To defend them, to make them their special victims,
pets,
to do their bidding.
Oh yeah. That's why when you see a feminist arguing for Islam, you just don't even bother talking to them. Yeah. It's just so far gone.
Yeah.
It's pointless.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the same thing with gay people. You're gonna be the first ones killed.
Yeah.
They're gonna throw you off a fucking building.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Do
you hate yourself that much?
Well, I think what it is, I think it's ever since 1964, when the left, finally stopped obstructing civil rights, and they've gone on a a 50-plus year campaign to blame all of their history onto conservatives.
But that's what Islam does too, isn't it? Like, you look at the leaders of Saudi Arabia or any Muslim country, all of their domestic issues, what do? They blame it on the little Satan and the big Satan, Israel and the U.S.
Yeah.
It's the same game plan.
Well, I think what's happening in the U.S. is liberals and the left have been so indoctrinated with this, with white guilt.
That is definitely a part of it. Now, is this because of schools? Is this because of genetics?
This is because of schools.
Okay.
This is because of schools, and this was actually a Soviet tactic. So the left has been doing that in this country for decades, and now they have a new partner.
Started in the 50s, right? Really, late 50s?
Well, I mean, all throughout the 40s, all of the McCarthy stuff, everybody that was identified during the McCarthy era, everybody who was identified as a Soviet spy in the early 90s, all of the Soviet cables they had started decoding all the Soviet cables,
so they could prove
everybody who was identified during the McCarthy period as being a Soviet spy who was in the administrations and in the State Department. They were, in fact, on payroll for Stalin.
Useful idiots.
Yes. Stalin knew about the nuclear bomb before
That's obvious,
our president.
Because they even said when they did the three leaders met, when Churchill looked at, was it Roosevelt who told him, and then he died, right?
Yeah.
Winston looked at him like, holy shit. But Stalin looked at him like, yeah, I know. And Franklin looked at him like, how the fuck did you know?
Nikita Khrushchev said that the Rosenbergs were the best supplying spy ring that they had.